Well, hello. It's Monday, and he makes me do the welcome because he says I like that part. It's my favorite part. But we are so excited that you are spending your Monday night with us. Again, we've got people joining from all over the place. We've had friends from Belize, friends from Cambodia, friends from all kinds of states within the United States. But it is our honor and privilege that you choose to set aside time to hang out with us on Monday nights. And so we're super excited about tonight's topic. It's one of our favorite things that we get to talk about. And so I'm going to let Baby Chad tell you just a little bit about that.
Well, tonight is dating your spouse. To us, it's super important. When we were young, we definitely did not do this. Mm-hmm. This is after 24 years of marriage, realizing the impact that it has or doesn't have if you date your spouse.
Yeah, so it is actually, he says we didn't do it in the very beginning, and primarily because we were kids trying to figure out how to raise kids. Mm-hmm. But pretty early on in our relationship, after watching some other couples that were older than us, we began to incorporate this into just a part of the regular rhythms of life. We did a Growing Kids God's Way class when our kids were really little, and one of the things that they emphasized was couch time. And what I love is that Chad is so disciplined, and he is such a learner that if he hears something, he's like, absolutely, we're doing that. We're starting that right now. So we initiated couch time at that season in our lives when our kids were little, running around like crazies. We said it was mom and dad time, and our kids knew that, and they began to just see this rhythm created in our lives of spending time one-on-one together.
But before we do that, we don't want to forget last week we challenged you guys to share our post and that we'd be giving something away. And this week's winner is Travis. Travis, I don't know if you're watching or not, but I'll have your journal in my book, and I will hold in my truck, and I will hold your feet to the fire to make sure you use this journal in your marriage.
Yep. So last week, like you said, we talked about communication, and the reason why we're giving Travis a journal is because it's a great tool for us that we use in lots of couples, because we've actually had the privilege of giving this gift to hundreds of couples that we got to serve with and serve through marriage and family ministry. But this is a tool that you can use, just a communication tool to write back and forth. We write prayers, we write thank yous, we write I love you, because it really doesn't matter. It's even been a place where we could share hard things when we were a little bit frustrated or overwhelmed or didn't know how to articulate our feelings or thoughts. We could put it in this journal. And so it's a document of what God's done, and it's a testimony that I know for generations is going to be a blessing. So that's why we're giving one of those away. And tonight, because we're talking about dating, we are going to give away a date night kit, a date night whatever, like a date night pack. So what we're asking you to do is throughout the time tonight, share it on your page, invite people, invite your friends to be a part of it, but also in the comments, make sure you share your all-time favorite date night you've been on. And if you don't have an all-time favorite date night yet, you can share a dream date, like something you're hoping will happen in the future, because we're actually going to talk about that too tonight.
What's your all-time favorite date?
My I actually shared about this a couple weeks ago. My all-time favorite date was a day that I was having a rough morning, and we were supposed to get to go to Granbury for the weekend or for the Saturday, but we couldn't because I wasn't prepared for the next day, and instead Chad created a date night for that night where he gave me small little gifts that made him think of me throughout the entire date. So it was like we would be in the car, and there would be some cute little thing sitting for me, and we would get to dinner, and I would get my next little piece of the goodies. And they weren't large, extravagant, expensive gifts, but they were just the little things that made him think of me, and it was probably one of my most special days. What about you?
Mine would definitely be a picnic that we planned and got to do. Actually, we were doing homework in a class we were in, and it was just real laid back and perfect weather. It's kind of like it is right now. Guys, picnic weather is here now, so plan the picnics.
Bonus points.
Yes.
If you plan a picnic, for sure.
Well, we're going to go ahead and dive in. Dating your spouse, week 4. We first want to talk about intentional. There's my word, intentional. And, intentional for us is just one-on-one. And so many times when we say the word date, it scares some people. They're like, hey, we don't have the finances, or we don't have the time. We all have the time. I have 24 hours in a day. You have 24 hours in a day. So I'll just challenge you to schedule that time. There was a time in our life when our kids were young, and we had to be intentional about it, and we had to put it on the calendars. We would send each other calendar invites, and it may be a 10-minute date, or it may be an overnight date. It looked different in this season and that season. But as I actually got home today and I was weed eating for 2 hours, and my wife came out and she's like, it means it was time to take a shower and get ready for this. But I was just praying for this tonight. Just what were we supposed to talk about dating? And I just want to leave you with this. We have a party barn on our property, and I'm sure a lot of you have been there. But on one side of it, you can't get a mower. And to be honest with you, I haven't been to the party barn in probably 4 or 5 weeks. And so I keep my yard mowed, and I walked over there yesterday to get the mower, and I was like, whoa, this was unattended. So as I got home today, I knew I had to go over there and start whacking away because it's a big project. And as I was just praying about this, is how it relates to dating is, what we love about dating is, so if you leave it unattended, then weeds grow. And I was looking at this, and as I was weed eating, and these were tall weeds and big weeds, and I was like, how did that weed even grow there in between this rock and over this? And it reminded me of why it's so important to date is because we don't sometimes know how we got there. We don't know how that weed grew there. And so I just want to challenge you to be intentional and to schedule your date so that you can keep the weeds out of your marriage.
That's right. And part of being intentional, the number one reasons we hear why people don't date is because they don't have the time and they don't have the money. Well, here's my piece of advice. Get unbusy and just set aside the funds for it. We can make a couple sacrifices throughout the week, throughout the month, so that this can be a priority. And dating doesn't have to be extravagant and expensive. One of my favorite things to do for Chad and I, and has been for years, is just to go get ice cream. To go in the truck together, go through the drive-thru, go sit inside. Actually, we love Brahms because that's where we decided we were gonna get married. We can't even say Chad proposed. We were like, do you wanna get married? Sure. Do you wanna get married? Sure. Okay, and we got married. More to that story later. But that's seriously, it costs $3 for us to go on a date, but it's that time, it's something special that is sentimental to us. So one of the most important things, the only way that you can be intentional in dating is to have conversations about dating. And that's where it comes into talking to each other. That's why I asked the question, what's your all-time favorite date? If you're just joining us, we're asking you guys in the comments to share your all-time favorite date, because we're gonna be doing a giveaway this week with using some of those answers. But that's why it's important to talk about those things. What do you love to do together? What do you want to do? We talked, extensively. You're going to hear us the more time we spend with you guys. We talk about dreaming and having a vision for your marriage and dreaming about your future. Dating life is no different. We have dream dates. They're bucket list dates. I remember one time specifically, we were on a trip. It was an anniversary trip. So we had gone to California. And there were certain things planned throughout the trip, but one of the things planned was we were taking a car from one area of California to another area of California. And we passed by a sign, and I remember seeing that sign, and I was like, that's on my bucket list. He's like, what? I'm like, to pick strawberries from a strawberry patch. And so what did he do? He turned around, he went down this road. It was out of the way. It was completely unplanned, but it was something that had been on my bucket list for as long as I could remember. And that goes down as probably my favorite bucket list date ever. So we have to be intentional, and we have to have conversations and know what each other love and what each other want to do and hope to do and dream to do, because that's a part of it. And then one of the other things we talk about constantly is about the pursuit, that we have to pursue each other. I can put a lot of expectations on this guy and expect him to do all the date planning, all the date paying, all the date everything. But it's about pursuing and being pursued. And so what about you? Tell us about your favorite time that I've planned a date for you.
The first off, we all like to be pursued, no matter what. Whether you're in high school and a college was pursuing you to play sports for them, when that girl pursued you in high school that you thought had no interest in you, we all enjoy that still today, man and wife, or husband and wife. We love that. And so one thing I would just tell you is, if you're desiring your wife or your husband to pursue you, you do it first. The best thing we can do inside of marriage is, if there's something that we want, instead of sulking about it and not doing it, well, I'm not going to pursue them because they're not pursuing me, go pursue them. that's one thing that puts it over the edge and gets it going in the right direction is if you pursue your spouse. And don't let life pass your marriage, because our lives are so busy, and we just feel like maybe we don't even have the time to pursue each other, because you guys out there maybe starting a career or you have young kids running around. I'm just going to tell you, at 24 years of marriage, we were there. We did that. And so don't let life pursue you. There were seasons in our life that we allowed life to pursue us or to pass us. And we could definitely tell inside our marriage that life was, our schedules were more important than me and her.
Yep. And what I'm thankful for is that we've always had couples a little further down the road in our lives. We've always been surrounded with community, and we've seen this modeled. I remember the first time we were actually officially invited on a double date with another couple. It was pretty incredible just to see that they took the time to set aside the resources, to get the babysitters, to make it a regular practice in their marriage, and they really set the tone for us making it a priority in our marriage. And so we're thankful for that even to today. So why do we date? That's the purpose, the ultimate purpose of dating your spouse. Yes. This cliche term that some people are like, oh, that's so, fill in the blank, whatever your thoughts are that might come if you don't have a positive experience or outlook or desire for that. But one of the most important things is the reason why we take the time to do these things is ultimately comes down to connection. We want to be connected to the person that we're doing life with, so that we're not just buddies living under one roof. We want to be connected physically, spiritually, emotionally, relationally, recreationally, all of those things. Like, there's so many ways that we desire that, but if we're not willing to put in the time, one thing that I wrote down is practice doesn't make you perfect, but it definitely makes you better. So if you're one of those couples who are like, we aren't very good at this, or we don't do this, we don't set aside the time, we don't plan, we don't, whatever it is, just start this weekend. Because I promise you, every investment you make in your marriage will have a return. It has a return not only for you guys, not only has a return for us, but it has a return for our kids. What's incredible is I have two adult kids, we have two adult kids now, and both of them take their boyfriend, girlfriend, or my son takes his girlfriend, and my daughter gets to go on dates with her husband. And so it's so fun to see this in these younger couples who see the value in it and have continued to maintain something that is so important and is building their relationships.
And one thing, in connection, when our lives are so busy, we try to do no phones. We may bring one out just to snap a picture to remember our date. But we try to set that aside, because we have that with us all the time, with work pulling at us or ministry pulling at us, whatever that is. And a lot of times we just leave them in the truck. And at first you're going to feel naked and you're like, I am forgetting something on this date. But the reality is you're not. The most important person is sitting across from you or in front of you. And we do this just so our hearts are connected, because we know when we don't take the time to pursue each other and we don't take the time to connect, that there's a void. God's created us to connect with Him and to connect with each other. And when we're not connecting with each other, it's noticeable. And so we always say, okay, it's time to do a date. And we may stop what we're doing, and we may get in the truck and we may go get that $3 ice cream. But it's so important that we connect so that we stay together with each other.
Yep. So as I was actually writing down all the different types of dates. So we want to be creative in our dating as well, because we can get in the same rut and routine, go eat dinner, go watch a movie where we sit side by side, but we never talk to each other face to face. And we actually got to be a part of a ministry where we created intentional dates. And so we love having intentional conversations, and not because it's something that I do for a living or I've done in ministry, but truly because we've seen the benefits and the fruit of it. But some of the different types of dates that we can have downtown dates. And downtown dates for us, they can be from Hico to Nashville. Wherever it is, wherever you live, there's a downtown. And you can take a few hours to walk around downtown, to go to one of those little restaurants that are off the beaten path that you've never been to. You can, just like I said, walk the downtown squares. There's so many little towns around the Metroplex. Usually if you live in a big town, there's so many small towns around your big town that you can check out and you can go visit their downtowns. And that's what we'll do sometimes. On a Saturday, we'll just get in the truck and we'll go check out a downtown. They always have fun little antique stores, ice cream shops, restaurants or bars, whatever you're looking for. And it's been really fun to be able to do that.
A lot of times we'll put rules in our dates, not rules so that we have to get it done or whatever, but we make it fun rules. And so one of our deals is when we go on dates, or when we go to the downtown dates, we have to eat at a place we've never eaten at before. Yep. And it just makes it fun. And so you look forward to, you're both on the eye of like, I Spy. Okay, we've never eaten there. We've never heard of that. And we don't look it up, and we don't care if it's good or not, because it's really about our time. Yeah. And then we'll say, hey, y'all have got to go check this out, and then we may take a double date there. So we have fun in that, in the rules of our dating.
Yep, absolutely. So there's downtown dates, there's dress up dates. Every day is a good day to get dressed up, because I never want to stop trying to impress him. While he loves me in my baseball cap and my workout clothes, and while he thinks I'm super cute in a t-shirt and shorts and flip-flops, there's also something about me taking care of me enough to put on what I think is his favorite outfit so that we can go out on a date. And the same for him. Like when he, puts on his starch shirt and sprays on some cologne, it's way different than a t-shirt and shorts and flip-flops headed out the door. So have dress-up dates. Call it that. Like, set the expectation so everybody knows, hey, we're going to do something a little bit special tonight. So there's downtown dates, there's dress-up dates, there's double dates. We have lots of incredible couples in our lives, couples that we have grown up with, couples that we learn from, and there is nothing more valuable than just sitting down with other couples and having real conversation about life, about kids. We can have conversations in passing with people about the stuff that doesn't really matter, but to really spend time with people that you can talk about the things that do. Like, how are you guys doing? And you answer it with something different than just, we're doing good. We have one couple in particular that we've gone on double dates with and, overnight dates with, that you can't leave time with this couple and not feel better and feel stronger and more connected because of the conversations that we get to have. So when you have a hard time having conversations with each other and there's someone else that's a good conversation starter or doesn't really care if it's awkward or uncomfortable, it kind of just pushes you out of your comfort zone. I promise you, if you go on a double date with us, we'll have some incredible conversations. They might be uncomfortable, but I promise it's not painful.
Yeah, and as I've shared probably all 3 weeks, that the conversation part is difficult for me sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so in a quiet time this week, I actually sat, I guess it was actually last week because this is Monday, but yeah. I actually sat down and God gave me about 15 questions that on our next date that I can ask her, and she's going to be going, I don't know if she's seen this or not, but she's going to be going, where did that come from?
I'm so excited.
But you have to prepare for your date. So have fun in it when you pursue. Make it fun. Make it enjoyable. If it's been a while since you've dated, think back when you were pursuing her to get married, mm-hmm. when you wanted her. Just because you've won her or you've won him, don't let it stop there. Continue to fight and to continue to go after each other. One thing that I would challenge you guys, whether you can afford dates or you can't afford dates, what's one thing that you're willing to give up so that you can afford to date? Yep. If it's $3 that's stretching your marriage, what's one thing that you can give up this week so that you can go on that $3 single dip ice cream date?
Absolutely, junior cone.
Yep. It's only $3 because she gets a junior cone.
I do. Portion control, right? So we have downtown dates, dress-up dates, double dates, the dream dates we talked about a little bit ago, which was those bucket list items. That's your homework this week, is sit down with your spouse and ask them, what is your dream date? Like, what is a bucket list date that you would love to go on? We try to have those conversations, and it's amazing how well I set him up to succeed when I tell him what I want to do. Because then how can you be disappointed when they take the time and put in the effort to plan that thing that you've been asking them for? So, we get to be their greatest cheerleader, but we also get to set them up to win. And the more I tell them about what I want to do, the more we're probably going to get to do some of those things, and vice versa. So the more he tells me about what he wants to do, I've heard of women buying Cowboys tickets for their husbands for Christmas and concert tickets and things like that. And not that it has to be this big expensive thing, but these are things that they sacrificed and they saved for to surprise them and do the thing that was that dream bucket list date. So there's also serve dates. You know, one of the greatest things that Chad and I can do together is there's work that needs to be done, whether it's work here, something a family member needs, or something a complete stranger might need. And I think, you know, thinking back to one of our a serve day, it was our son's house. He was out of town working for an extended period of time, and we took the entire day cleaning house. I kid you not, I think I vacuumed that house 5 times and still came up with just as much dog hair as the first time. But that wasn't the point. The point was, it was just something, we were doing this together. We were serving our son, and we just got to be together. And so we'd hop in the car and go get something to eat, or we'd hop in the car and go get something that we realized that we needed. And it was just a day that it wasn't about us, but it was about serving someone else. So what is that thing you can do together where you're not self-centered and self-focused, but you're actually serving someone else? And sometimes that's, you know, I mean, fill in the blank. It could be all kinds of things, but be creative in that. Like, what can we do to serve someone else, or serve a local ministry or a local charity, or, you know, go pick up trash at the park together. Like, nobody's going to notice what you did, but you're going to know what you did.
Well, we're going to wrap it up this week. Guys, step up, step out, date your wives, make it a priority, put it on your calendars. It would excite me tonight if my wife started getting texts from ladies and wives that my husband just planned a date for us, even if it's tomorrow after work. But put it on your calendar, invite them, make it a priority. We love you guys. Share this, like it, comments. We'll try to get back to all the comments. We're enjoying this. Let us know what you want to hear. We'll see you guys next week. Love you guys.
We love you guys.